It's day 15 on this diet. I think I get the days wrong there, I think, but it's around about day 15. But I'm still feeling rough. I just had a rough sleep again. And this is a zero carb diet, or a cheat, you know. But I've got my carbs down 90% or something to fix gut dysbiosis, in my opinion. I think it's SIBO of some sort, small intestine, bacterial overgrowth, and probably LIBO, large intestine, bacterial overgrowth, and leaky gut, which probably comes with it. Yeah, so yeah, I had a strange sleep with two parts. The first part was okay, but I woke up at 2 a.m. and then I went back to sleep again. And the second one was rushed with semi-nightmares. And when I have nightmares, I take that to mean toxicity, mostly. If it's not something to do with real life or whatever, just generally rough. And I woke up scared, yeah. I got that scared feeling. It just feels that I haven't reached the other side, on the path to, yes, I'm on the right track, you know what I mean? Still feels as if I'm on the wrong track. Um, so, strange sleep. One thing about the sleep though is I hardly move a bit at all. I used to fidget all the time, and I think that was to do with high fermentation. But now I just sort of lie in the same position, but I maybe just sort of die off mostly, die off of the microflora or whatever the gut dysbiosis. I don't know, but because if I lie on my shoulder, I'm still in the same position with my shoulder, which means it's pretty sore in the morning, but at least I stayed in the same position. Uh, so, diet, I'm really meat and mixed veg cubes, the little cubes you get, you buy in a packet. Yeah, I don't know really. I'm eating things like ham, minced beef, minced lamb, and I do sip some orange juice. I only take sips. I mean, probably drink a full glass every day, but I take it sips at a time, and that's to give me a bit of energy. Because of what I found in these diets in the past is I seem to totally be zapped of energy, and I've got nothing, and then when I come off it, suddenly I've got a lot of energy. So I think personally I need a bit of sugars to give me some energy. And I'm also taking coffee and pesto, which might be having a negative impact. At the moment I'm keeping with them because it's just something to do, really. Some give me a bit of flavour in my diet, but they might have to go. And so I'm talking about days 13 to 15 here. I'll give them 4.6 out of 10. I'm never over 5 anyway, so because I always feel rough. I feel that this is an epidemic and it might be the cause of a lot of people who've got chronic fatigue syndrome. It might actually be that they're quite sensitive and that's how they get the gut dysbiosis in the first place. Because they're sensitive, because we eat a lot in the Western diet, we eat too much probably. We don't have fasting periods or anything. So there I say that I don't feel like I'm on the other side. That's me to say good. So good side. Yeah, and here's just some of the points I make every time really. The concept of autobrewery syndrome is where every time you eat or drink sugars, uh, basically you might have a brewery in your gut, in the small intestine in particular, where there's not meant to be any bacteria really. But apparently it's Candida albicans, it's the only one that really produces, or funguses that really produce ethanol, which is pure alcohol. But I think bacteria might produce other alcohols that we don't really drink in real life because they don't taste nice. Um, so they might have the same sort of effect as ethanol. Because ethanol, that's pure vodka, I think, isn't it really? But yeah, this autobrewery syndrome, I think this might be something. You're never near what the people who drink alcohol are, although some people might be if they're really bad with candida. Uh, but uh, yeah, it's just a concept to think of that every time you're eating sugars or eating probiotics and prebiotics because you're adding to the microflora in the wrong place in your small intestine. You might be, although the fungus is different, but because that's the opposite. But you might be, you know, actually producing alcohols every time. Biolab in London was a test lab in London. It used to have an alcohol test for bacterias and candida, for ethanol for candida, other alcohols for SIBO, but it's not there anymore, that lab. I heard it's moved to Windsor or something and it's got a new name. It had to close down, I think, because the government got on its case. It was a really great lab, although for me, its best days were up to about 2008 because I think it changed management or something. To me, it wasn't as good, but especially with this alcohol test that they had. And so I'm talking about small intestine bacterial overgrowth. You can probably also have large intestine bacterial overgrowth. This is your ordinary microflora. It's not a external bacteria. It's your normal one that's get out of control. Maybe certain types get out of control more than others, but it's part of your normal bacteria, your microflora, and you're not really meant to have much in small intestine. In fact, people who have got short small intestines, they're constantly prone to D-lactic acidosis, and that's a type of lactic acid, not like the type you build up in your muscles. It's very hard to metabolize, and it ends up making you acidic, and they can actually die of that acutely, the people with short small intestine. But I think actually people with SIBO might be prone to D-lactic acidosis, never in terms of it being at risk of dying, but making you feel bad, you know. It may actually be the lactic acidosis, it's just D-lactic acidosis, which is making SIBO people feel bad, you know, because you've got so much bacteria in your small intestine. So anytime you eat sugars, you're creating more D-lactate and you're creating more bacteria. Anytime you eat yogurts and prebiotics like sucralose and diet drinks, you're feeding your small intestine bacterial overgrowth. Yeah, so if you feel worse on yogurts and probiotics and prebiotics, I think there's probably a better chance you've got bacterial overgrowth rather than candida, because that sort of stuff is anti-candida, apart from sugars. And also, maybe another way to spot is if complex carbs make you feel worse, because bacteria loves complex carbs, whereas candida can't feed off it. So that might be more of a sign you get SIBO rather than candida, you know. So this is all to do with gut over fermentation. That's the sort of concept I'm making it. And this is Dr. Norman Robillard's idea, food fermentation potential. He looks at the fermentation potential of every food, and he's very much into SIBO and LIBO, and he came up with his own concept because it helped him with his acid reflux. He was actually a biologist, he was a bacteriologist, and in his 30s he started getting acid reflux. But when he went on low carb diets, it would disappear, and then when he went back on, it would come back. And he realised, being a biologist, that that might be something to do with fermentation, bacterial fermentation. Yeah, so here you go. Another diet I look at, another philosopher on it, is Dr. Eric Berg, because he's coming to the conclusion that fasting, intermittent fasting, is good for us because it lets our bodies self-clean and self-heal. And so this ultra low carb diet is the idea. And in my case, including complex carbs, but also anything with fermentation potential, like prebiotics, probiotics, yogurt, fermented stuff, you know, like kefir, sauerkraut, because your body's probably fed up with fermentation, complex carbs and sugars. So yeah, I'm still at a stage where I don't know whether I'm damaging myself or I'm doing well, you know, so that's frustrating. I don't know, or if it's die off, you know, but it's taking quite long now. I mean, that's over 2 weeks. I can even sort of sense my breath at the moment. It's got that sort of ketosis thing to it, you know. But yeah, I'll just keep going for just now. Yeah, so that's all for just now.